And what I realized is that by me not commuting, building a solid support system that was stable and helpful and a good support system, I was actually putting my family at a bigger risk. And so I'm very embedded in my diocesan Catholic school, in my diocesan parish. I have good neighbors, so many people of goodwill that help with carpooling or driving here. And I do the same because when I was experiencing motherhood rugged individualism, I was looking at, I actually wrote a recent essay on this. Like, it was very lonely, and it actually put my family, to be in a place of vulnerability, and then I went through a season of anger. Like, I was so mad if I opened up Facebook and saw all the moms, like, that I don't even really know that well, all drinking coffee and being social. I'd be like, "Why did they invite me? I wanna go there." But what I realized was you have to invest in your priorities, and I wasn't, for a season, investing in friendship. I wasn't investing in building, like you said, the shop, the career, the plan. And, the thing about motherhood is it comes in waves. Like, when you are nauseous and you aren't feeling good, you might have a very small rope for work and for anything outside the home. But recognize that's not motherhood, that it's just a season.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Saintly Sidekicks. I'm Madeleine Karako, and with us today is Emily Jaminet, and she is a prominent Catholic speaker. She's a Catholic author. She is a radio personality, and if you can believe it, she's also a wife and mother to 7 children. How does she do it all? Maybe we'll find out. But we are so excited to have her here today. Emily, for those who don't know you, would you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Well, I'm a friend to all. That's a good way to think of it. I live in Columbus, Ohio. So, as you mentioned, I have 7 children ranging 9 to 25. I'm also a grandmother, which is really special, a very beautiful calling to see your children's children. And I have always been a practicing Catholic. That has been a grace given to me by watching, I would say, my parents' conversion when I was a young girl, or not conversion, deepening of the faith. That's a better expression. My whole family witnessed, just rosaries being said for the first time. Really, my parents focusing on the new evangelization right in our own home. And I've only been doing active ministry outside my home for about 10 years. So, right around my 40th birthday, I was expecting my last child when Michelle Family and I wrote our first book, Divine Mercy for Moms. Then we continued to write books together, The Friendship Project. We wrote Prayfully and just some beautiful pieces of work. And then I stepped into really breaking down the Divine Mercy, the Sacred Heart devotion to the heart of Jesus. And I just had my first children's book. So it's really great. And I'm also the director of a ministry, which is called the Sacred Heart Enthronement Network. So I serve as their director. And I'm also on the pastoral council for my bishop. So I am involved. I love local ministries, such as right at my own parish, helping with OCIA and baptism class, to serving the church, like you mentioned, in conferences and in leading retreats. So it's all really awesome.
So, you wrote your first book right around the time you were having your last baby. Is that what you said?
Yeah, the week that Michelle and I signed the contract, I wasn't feeling well, and I took a pregnancy test and found out I was pregnant. And I was, like, so tired with my 7th baby. I felt as old as Elizabeth in the Bible. Like, I was really struggling, and I was like, "Lord, I do not know how I'm going to do all the things I was doing and write a book." And it was so beautiful because, first of all, Michelle was my co-author. She runs the Columbus Catholic Women's Conference. She was such a great friend to me, and she gave me a lot of grace, and she also gave me a lot of encouragement, and we worked as a great team. And it really showed me that being a Catholic woman is not about being perfect. It's about being open to God. There was so much grace that poured into my life, into my marriage. And ultimately, I have to say, writing Catholic books, like, could not be a Saturday morning hobby where I sat at a coffee shop and I just decided it was about me. I mean, I had to shift my whole schedule. All writing was early in the morning and still continue to this day. I am up super early because I cherish the times with my family and cleaning my house. And I I I know it has a place, if that makes sense. I've figured out the place that it has so that my whole family can function with mom doing ministry.
So, how did that process go for you with kind of figuring out how to find that place and waking up in the morning? Was that something that sort of developed as you were going along and learning more about? I mean, you've written 6 books, is that correct?
Yeah.
And that's quite an accomplishment. So obviously you enjoy writing, which I think is an incredible gift to give to your children that they have these books that their mother wrote, and that they can hold. And even after you're gone, they're going to have these and pass down through the generations. The written word, it's always there. So for you to give them that gift is just so beautiful. And finding that process, how was that for you of making the time
I
to do something so good?
I'm like I'm the one tearing up right now because you hit exactly my goal as a mom was to lead a crumb trail back to Christ. And even if it's a lot of my kids, actually, my daughter read the book, The Friendship Project, in college, and she was at a secular school, and she was like, "Mom, I like this book. I need good faith-filled friendships. Like, I didn't know about this saint and we would talk about the book. And so it was amazing. And it actually started one step before. I started in radio, doing shorts for moms. So it's called A Mother's Moment. And it airs still nationally on 4 Catholic radio stations. But A Mother's Moment was meant to remind us of the significance of our vocation in light of Christ. Because you probably know this. I've read a lot about the doctors of the church and beautiful sisters and religious. And I'm like, but that's not my life, right? Like, my life is a super busy life that's not my own because of my family. And I found those points of contention or even a little bit of resentment, like, but where's my time to pray? Well, what about I got up early and I was going to have prayer time and now this child heard me and now they're here and so it was part of this process of working it out and also showing moms that like holiness matters. I mean, it's not just about us, but it's about us providing the love of Christ to our spouse and to our family, to our extended family, and into the greater community. So the first change was Proverbs 31, recognizing what a holy woman, a holy wife look like. And for me, it's she rises early in the morning. And that was really important. Like I could be and there were seasons where I was the mom that would, like, lay in bed to the very last minute, little face would be like, "Mom, are we gonna get up? Mom, come on, can you make me breakfast?" And I remember being that mom for a season, but now I'm a mom on mission because when my alarm goes off very early in the morning, it's out of bed, go to the gym, start the breakfast, get things moving, and when I'm in a book writing season, that also becomes the time that I, write books in the morning so that it doesn't pull away or cause any resentment to my family, because if my family resented what I was doing, I wouldn't actually do it, and I wouldn't be here telling you to do this as well. If your family does not, my they appreciate they see the sacrifice, they understand mom has to be gone today, but they also recognize that I'm in a partnership with my husband, and so, we both work together as a team to make this work, and so it's a lot of communication, a lot of prayer, a lot of just 100% dedication.
Thank you for sharing that. That's something that I definitely struggled with in the beginning when I opened my shop and we were trying to figure out because for the first several years of my new motherhood, when we just had one child, I had this very distorted understanding of what a mom was supposed to be. And I thought it meant mom does everything, everything to do with the kids. That's mom. And if she's not doing it, then she's failing and she's doing something wrong. And then I learned about St. Zelie and that she was basically the full time provider for her family. And she not only raised all of her daughters became nuns, and Saint Teresa of Lisieux, one of the most famous saints of all time, it became this beautiful family that she raised. She and her husband both become saints. So it finally clicked in my head that to be a mom does not mean there's nothing left of you and all of it's just for kids and cleaning and cooking. Like that there should be something that fills me up as well, that I can then direct them back to God by the joy that I'm displaying, and not just this exhausted person that just continues to give when there's nothing filling me up. So that I love that you talk about rising in the morning and sort of prioritizing that. I've had to kind of, as I go, with each kid, it changes of what my work looks like, because like you said, I never want it to pull from the family.
Mhm.
So sometimes it looks different and less than what maybe I would be hoping it would be, but everything feels so much better when it's centered on the top priority of family first, but that doesn't have to be all that I do and the only thing that I'm focused on. And even it shouldn't be, because then, like you said, resentment builds and you kind of become angry, and not an example of holiness and godliness for your children. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was like a good
Well, it also
reminder to me.
for me, it was a reminder of rugged individualism, right? America is great because of rugged individualism. Like, we have the guts to go against England. Like, we are just like, we are going to go our own way and we're going to do it our way. And, but rugged individualism in family life, like, I was a lot like you. I did not have babysitters intact. I did not have systems in place if mom's not there. And I'm approaching my 50th year of life in November. And I will tell you, there's been some tragedies around us. I've lost friends to cancer, to breast cancer, like Saint Zelie. And what I realized is that by me not commuting, building a solid support system that was stable and helpful and a good support system, I was actually putting my family at a bigger risk. And so I'm very embedded in my diocesan Catholic school, in my diocesan parish. I have good neighbors, so many people of goodwill that help with carpooling or driving here. And I do the same because when I was experiencing motherhood rugged individualism, and I was looking at, I actually wrote a recent essay on this. Like, it was very lonely, and it actually put my family, to be in a place of vulnerability, and then I went through a season of anger. Like, I was so mad if I opened up Facebook and saw all the moms, like, that I don't even really know that well, all drinking coffee and being social. I'd be like, "Why did they invite me? I wanna go there." But what I realized was you have to invest in your priorities, and I wasn't, for a season, investing in friendship. I wasn't investing in building, like you said, the shop, the career, the plan. And, the thing about motherhood is it comes in waves. Like, when you are nauseous and you aren't feeling good, you might have a very small rope for work and for anything outside the home. But recognize that's not motherhood. That it's just a season. And then all of a sudden you're in a different season and you're in a different stage, and hopefully you not only learn lessons, but you remember those that went before you, who are struggling right in the pew in front of you. So instead of scowling at the mom because her kids aren't perfectly dressed or misbehaving, you have a heart of compassion and love. And I'm glad, lastly, that you mentioned St. Zelie, because my husband and I went on a beautiful pilgrimage in honor of our 25th wedding anniversary to France. And the bishop asked me to coordinate this beautiful pilgrimage, focusing on the heart of Jesus. And one of the lessons was walking in St. Zelie's, walking through her footsteps, going into the great basilica of St. Therese, this massive church, which I can't wait till you go there, going to the lower crypt and seeing her parents and thinking her little way led to this extraordinary, unbelievable, gorgeous basilica, because she was willing to do the tiniest little tasks with love. And she learned that through her mother. And there was just a beautiful story to encounter. And it's the story we encounter with every saint. So I'm so thankful I get to be here and cheer everyone on.
And I love that you did your first book, you co-authored with a friend. And I think that's just such a great reminder that even when you're beginning these new things that seem scary and maybe too much for your current season of life, that reaching out and asking for help is is okay and is good and probably was a beautiful experience for your friendship. And so you did you guys co-author every book together or just
No,
some?
just the first, 4 books, and then
Okay.
what we found too is that we're in a season, a lot like that you're in, where if what if we plan to do a speaking event and all of a sudden her child is sick, or her husband's, career needs him to be somewhere else, or my husband, like, so we had this, we would say, "Yes, someone will be at this event." It might be both of us, which we liked traveling, we liked sharing a hotel room, we liked those things, especially in those early years, but we also wanted to show women, that you can share a microphone with someone else, and that's really important, that, like, your thoughts aren't the most important thing, and part of it is your example of collaboration, and we're still really good friends. We do a podcast, Inspired by Faith, where we interview inspirational Catholic, men and women, priests and sisters, and have them tell their story. So that's a beautiful fruit of all those months and years of book writing. And then what I felt called to do is just to continue writing and focusing on this important element, which I think will benefit every single Catholic, and that is the Sacred Heart of Jesus, because his perfect love is meant to transform our hearts and thus heal us, strengthen us, give us the grace, and allow us to go forth and share that with the world. So that's really been my mission for since about 2018, when I took over this ministry. But I never knew it would be this much. I never knew I'd have 3 books on this topic, and I'm already thinking about the next one. Like, oh, I want to write about this. So I mean, partly because 'cause I'm the living example, like, my life changed, and whenever you have that encounter with Christ and your life changes, there's a reason for your hope. You can't help but want to share it with others and help them to, see the value of practicing their Catholic faith, not just, um contemplating it or resenting it or, ignoring it. I think most people ignore it, but, I really want them to discover it.
I bought two of the Sacred Heart books. So this is the one for the kids, right?
No, well, so this one is actually my first book. This
Oh, your first
one
one.
is,
Okay.
this is gonna be like a personal devotional overview, and then this one is, okay, now it's time to apply it to the whole family and the rest of the world. So this is encountering it with your own heart, and then this gives you vignettes of, like, hearts, like, examples of what happened. I really wanted to go into, like, what happens when Jesus transforms your heart? What are some examples? And that, like, we talked about resentment. Like, imagine, imagine if you all of a sudden just weren't jealous and you weren't bitter and you weren't resentful. The kind of mom, the kind of person that you would be, overnight completely different than, if you struggle in those areas. So I kind of give you a look and a consideration and an awakening, a gentle awakening, because a lot of times, like myself, when I was in a difficult season, like, I was the only one in the room that didn't know. I was the elephant. Like, everybody else is like, "Mom's on edge. Watch out." You know, "Mom's cranky." Like, I didn't have a lot of self-awareness. And so the gentle heart of Jesus revealed his heart to me. So then as a result, I started to see those burdens, those wounds, those, like, he was almost like, "You're trying way too hard. Like, what's going on?" Like, spend more time in prayer, more time not thinking about things, but really being open to the grace so that there's the fruit he wanted me and he wants us to all have in our life is peace, love, and joy. And so, the kingdom, actually is here.
Well, I have to share with you, I was reading through this book, and so I'm Madeline, my name, and my parents just sort of picked that name because they liked it. It wasn't initially it was not after Saint Madeline Sophie Barat. Is that how you say
I
her
think
name? But I was looking in this book. So my daughter recently got confirmed, and initially she was debating between Saint Catherine Labouré, I think Saint Bernadette and Mary Magdalene. Like those were her three that she was trying to sort of choose between. And then we listened to a podcast about Saint Margaret Mary, who Jesus appeared to with the Sacred Heart, and she's a very like intuitive child, very interior. So when she said this, I didn't really question it, but just all of a sudden she was like, I want to pick St. Margaret Mary for my confirmation. And I was like, okay, well, why? And she's like, I just really feel that she's the one. And we continued listening to her story. And St. Margaret Mary was bedridden for 4 years with an illness. My daughter was like seriously dealing with health issues up until the age of 6, and then had this miraculous healing, very similar to St. Margaret Mary. I'm getting emotional. But so, like, as we continued listening to it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is your saint. And you just knew in your heart somehow, because we hadn't even finished the podcast. But the more we listened to it, I was like, this is totally for you. And then when I picked up your book, St. Madeleine Sophie Barat also founded what was it? The Society of the Sacred Heart
Mhm.
in 1800, which is like this beautiful connection between my name and my daughter's confirmation that I never even knew. And if I hadn't reached out to you, never would have read. So it's just like when I God is just orchestrating all of this. It was so clear to me. So thank you for this book.
And it's like, I feel like I have a clause, like the non-compete clause, right? Like, in the church, everyone's got like, "Okay, I only do this and I only do that." But, like, when you focus on the heart of Jesus, like, everything else comes into the proper order and the proper place. Because if we're talking about the Christian home in America, like, we wouldn't have problems if the Christian home was full of Christ's love. Like, we would not be discussing strategies to evangelize. I mean, I went to an 8-hour meeting with my diocese yesterday talking about the problems of the Christian home, basically, because the faith is not being passed on. But we're approaching it like a battlefield versus what if the love of Christ, the Sacred Heart, as he asked his heart to be exposed and honored, was plastered in every home, in every school, in every Christian nonprofit. Our crisis pregnancy centers all have images because they know they're in the battle. But most of our homes don't know they're in a battle. They don't know that Satan is waiting or he's already been welcomed. And a lot of times when I help with people who convert to the faith, or go through a deepening or just through conferences, one of my first questions is, have you opened yourself up to the occult? And almost every time the answer was yes. Or I don't know, what do you think? And I'll say, have you used tarot cards? Have you ever invoked the devil? Have you ever made a pledge with the devil? And I can't tell you all the times, "Oh, well, yeah. Oh, yeah, I thought it was funny. I didn't realize the impact." So, when you discover the heart of Jesus, when you discover his authentic love, the fruit will be beautiful. It will provide you spiritual stability. The joy will be present, and your children will be, like, cheering you on, like, "Yeah, mom, we need more love in the house. We need more peace in the house. We don't just need lectures and arguments and debates over who puts the dishes away." Like, there's a sacrificial, sense that we're all sacrificing, for the families. So I just, like, can't encourage you all enough. Like, do it. Like, welcome Jesus into your life, but welcome his Sacred Heart into your life. And thus, just like St. Margaret Mary Alacoque, like, the fruit was a truer devotion to the Eucharistic heart of Jesus, a revival, people understanding that they can offer up their communion. So they started coming back to the sacraments. We have the First Friday devotion. We have devotion, the month of the Sacred Heart, the feast of the Sacred Heart, and this idea of placing the image up where we can't be around a tabernacle or a monstrance, right? Like, Jesus' Sacred Heart goes with me in my wallet, in my car. I'm looking at him right now. He's in all my kids' bedrooms because we need Jesus's love. We need his heart. So St. Margaret Mary is a powerful saint because she was so little, so naive, so young, but she was the messenger, and she did a great job. So I hope we can do a great job. I hope my books, provide a little bit of a desire for others to go deeper.
Well, and I would love to just read through the promises of the Sacred Heart, because those in of themselves, it's just such a I'm here for you. I feel like all of them are just sort of saying that, like, I'm here for you. So the first one, I will give them all the graces necessary for their state in life. I will establish peace in their families. I will comfort them in their trials. I will be their secure refuge during life and above all in death. I will shed abundant blessings on their all their undertakings. Sinners will find in my heart an infinite ocean of mercy. Lukewarm souls will become fervent. So just so many just reassuring, like, yes, you're broken, you're fallen. I'm right here. And that's all you need. I mean, how so many, I feel like the perspective of the Catholic faith is that we have all these rules and these guidelines, and we're so strict, and it's not warm. The Sacred Heart is basically the exact opposite of all of those impressions. Like, sinners, I'm here with mercy. Lukewarm souls, I'll make you fervent. Like, just come to me, just be with me. And I that was one of the Saint Margaret Mary, just her innocence and her youthful approach to that really struck me. Of just, I mean, she's seeing this heart and it's on fire. I mean, can you imagine like just being overwhelmed and shocked? But she's just so in love with him that she's just there for it, and embracing it, and being so courageous to stand up to all the people that at first didn't believe her. I forget, how long did it take before?
Well, I was thinking one of the things that happened is that, so she's this young sister. We're talking 350 years ago in the Visitation Order in Paray-le-Monial in France. And so it's feeling very remote. It's a very remote community. And this caused shock waves within the church, right? Jesus is appearing to a young sister with his heart outside the body. Like, this has never happened before. And like you said, we still have the exact description of how she's described the heart. One time she said it was like crystals and fire, and I mean, beautiful, beautiful as crystals, she said. But what's amazing to me is that the message was so simple. And Jesus used this term that we find in scripture all the time: behold, right? Behold the man, behold, he said, behold the heart that loves so much, right? So he's saying, like, look at my heart. I can't even contain it. But in return, what do I get? And it's the same stuff we get now: ingratitude, coldness. And he talked about how there's even that resentment, right? That we pull back our hearts from the Lord. And he's saying, like, look at my heart. Everything would be healed. Everything would be strengthened if you just turn to my heart. And so it's very, very important, especially as Catholic parents, when divorce rates at a 50%. We look at the statistics. Oh, no one goes to church. Teenagers are leaving the faith. What if we had a super unbelievable experience with the love of Jesus? So then everything else is illuminated and takes on new meaning. And that's what happened. This whole revival around the whole church began there. And shortly afterwards, again, the sisters didn't believe her. No one really understood. They thought she was going crazy. St. Claude de Clambaret, a Jesuit young priest, came, really known for being a profound preacher and spiritual director. And he was sent to kind of straighten things up. And as a result, he ended up becoming just inflamed with the love of Jesus. He wrote about it. He went on to England and preached all about the heart of Jesus. And he is also a canonized saint. So one of the things that's really beautiful is saints beget saints. Like, with Saint Zelie and then her children and her husband. Like, this is another example where if it's an authentic encounter with Jesus Christ, it bears great fruit and it's attractive to other people. And this devotion, I mean, I should write a whole book on, like, all the saints. My recent book, Saints of the Sacred Heart, a children's book, I highlighted multiple saints, but, like, there's so many saints. John Paul II, I think about his love for the Sacred Heart, what he wrote about it. Mother Teresa, like Saint Padre Pio, like Saint Therese, like these modern saints discovered this just amazing gift in the heart of Jesus. So I think this is a springboard to holiness.
And it really is attractive to people. I mean, if this is kind of a silly example, but if you go on Etsy and if you type in like Sacred Heart of Jesus or even just Sacred Heart of the Holy Family, there are so many products and they are so popular. And I really do think that there's just this draw that people have to it, like for the very reasons that you said, that it's just this love that everyone's craving and yearning for, and that the world needs, our families need. Do you, in your work, have you felt like, since kind of devoting yourself to the Sacred Heart, has that made things easier with your path, or do you still feel like spiritual attacks, like, did that get stronger, or was that like it just made things smoother for you?
I would describe it as you don't have teenagers yet, so I'm gonna prepare you for something.
Okay.
Give me a moment. When you wake up in the morning and you see that the garage door was never put down, and your husband locked the door, but then you had a teenager pull in the driveway, pull in the garage, and leave the garage door up all night, and you're like, oh my gosh, we could have all died. We could have been robbed. Like, I mean, my neighbors must chuckle at how many times. Like, one lady who walks a dog is like, Emily, do you know how many times I put your garage door down? I hit the enter button because, the kid leaves the garage door up. But my point is spiritually, like, this is an equipping. And that's why I love the enthronement of the Sacred Heart, of not just exposing and honoring the image, so that we may be blessed, one of the promises, but then building a covenant of love where you're like, Jesus, I want the kingdom of God in my home. I want you to reveal so that you can heal. I want you to be, and I've shown every one of my children, especially when they're around your kids' ages, I showed them the image and I'm like, this is his house. We get to live here. So I told him, I said, this is now 24-hour parenting. And almost every time that garage door was left up, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I used to lie there and be like, okay, I can't sleep. And now I'm like, "Oh, Jesus, what do you want me to go check on?" And so go down, I'm like, "Oh, the garage door's down." Or I find that lonely child, and instead of being like, "I can't believe you're on video games. What's going on?" It's like, "The Lord woke me up. What's going on?" And then they're like, "Whoa, mom woke up for me?" And I'm like, "For you. So let's pray, let's talk." And it shifted my parenting, it shifted my perspective. And when you talk about spiritual attacks, like there isn't room because Jesus gets it all. Like there's not a corner of my house that has a secret that is not where Jesus is present. And so I would say, lastly, there's this very old book out of print. It's called Enthronement in the Sacred Heart by Father Francis Larkin. So if you ever find it in an old bazaar, you can find it occasionally online. But this book talked about the women who put their children on boats for World War II, right? And if you think about it, there was no like, I'm going to search their location today, or, like they're going to call home. Like they enlisted in the military and they were gone, but they would give them the badge of the Sacred Heart. They knew that they were entrusted into the heart of Jesus. And I looked at like the spiritual stability of these families who actually went through world wars, terrible things. And our Catholic moms and dads are like losing their mind over a kid who forgets a shoe here, or, is in a terrible twos. Like, we got to toughen up, but it's not straighten up, behave. It's let your heart change from the inside out. And um, I, I see and feel the spiritual protection because I've welcomed the kingdom of God with my husband. My kids agree, this is our family, this is our culture. And it's really powerful.
What a beautiful example, even just for me, thank you. That's so encouraging, and it does feel overwhelming at times. Of what more can I be doing? What more can I be doing to make sure that they stay in the faith as they continue to grow, that they don't get swept up in all these horrible negative things of the world, and simplifying it of just bringing the love of Jesus into your home and making that the center. That is enough. And if you're doing that and really entrusting to Him, then it will be okay because it will be His will. Thank you so much for that.
It's important.
Thank you so much, Emily. This has been a life-giving conversation for me. I know it will be for our viewers as well, and I'm just blown away and inspired by all that you've done, and I'm gonna continue reading these books. I finished this one, but I need to pick up the other one. I'm glad I did them in the right order because I wasn't sure which one to do first. And my daughter actually asked me the other day, and it was after I had picked up that book, and she said, "Mom, do you love me more than God loves me?"
Oh,
And I know, and because of your book, I had like more of a intelligent answer than I normally would have. And I said, you know what? God loves infinitely more perfectly than I do. So yes, he loves you more than I do, but I love you to the greatest capacity that my human heart has. So
mhm.
thank you so much for that. Thank you for coming on today. Is there anything else that you want to say before we sign off?
I just want to say, and I should have sent you one before, is I do have this new book out of Sophia, Saints of the Sacred Heart. So
Oh
this
yeah.
is a fun picture book. It's a novena to the Sacred Heart, and it walks you through Saint Margaret Mary and 9 other saints. So Saint Claude, Saint Francis Cabrini. So it's some different saints that you might not know. I'd love for your followers to also check out this idea of finding an image, putting it up on your we got to have Zelie's crafts. We got to have a whole Sacred Heart section because this is going to start booming. You're going to discover like you just keep wanting more and more. And at welcomeisheart.com, we do have not only the books but some enthronement material for self-directed, so families can encounter Christ. They can make that covenant of love. And I'm just cheering y'all on. Keep it up. Keep running the race. Don't look back. Don't get discouraged. Don't feel inadequate. Just do the next right thing, and God is going to use that little yes. And let's set the earth aflame. It's only going to be through the love of Christ that people are going to discover what's good, what's true, and what's beautiful.
Thank you, Emily, so much. And you keep up. I mean, again, I'm just in awe, and I will be praying for you that you just keep going because you're doing beautiful work.
Well, thank you. Like I said, having all of your children and your daughter-in-laws and everyone living out the faith is enough to say, like, this is 100% worth it. And my youngest said to me one day, she said, Mom, I want you to know I love him more than you do. And I Great. Awesome. Love him more than I do because I'm very broken. But that's the ultimate goal, is that we present it so beautifully that they run after it. And in their purity, they actually have the capacity, I hate to tell us, but to do better than even in us. So let's share this to everyone. Everyone needs to hear about the love of Christ.